3.1 Practice and Research Transforming Materials. Continuing with research and trying to make a balance between research and response, or do I respond with my sample making, or do I go more in depth with research? I followed up a recommendation by Faye Hall, an old tutor, to look at James Bowen, which might be of interest to me. And so I followed this line of inquiry. The research was limited online, but I have collated some beautiful imagery where textiles are actually laid over layer by layer to transform and change the textile. So at the moment this is under investigation. Researching my line of inquiry still with hair. This particular hairdresser happened by accident, and it's kind of something that I sort of am working on at the moment, and I was quite surprised actually. Alexis Ferrier, an avant-garde hairdresser, put some work together for the Weller Trend Vision. Now this image here and this image, and returning to the same image previously shown, are so relevant because, as we can see in the progression of my sketchbooks, I'd started to already kind of look at making an application onto hair wefts. At this point I'd transferred from real hair onto synthetic hair because my audience on Instagram were actually informing me that they considered that the use of hair material was becoming creepy and unnerving, but this is not my intention at all. I just want to use hair as a material to transform and be quite experimental with this. So still maintaining and using the spray paint onto the hair, I continue to use the circle. Some of the samples have got squares and triangles on, but most prominently with this Project 3, the circle seems to be moving through, and it does work more successful with the spray paint. I have learnt that gloss spray paint adheres to the hair particularly well. In this particular sample, matte spray paint works very well, as you can brush it out and return the hair back to its natural state. So this has been quite a learning curve. It's not the easiest material to work with. I here experimented with returning to the frames and the three-dimensional climbing frames as I'd worked with in Project 2. And then obviously collating various materials, I began to experiment here with emulsion paint and use the hairdressing technique balayage. I just like these samples as they are. I could draw over them or walk over the top of them. I think again it could be something that I could return to later, but I think that this sets a good grounding for the time being. Moving slightly on, as this assignment progressed, I'd use various colour palettes which were determined by the materials, and circles remained, but the use of white on brunette hair wefts started to appear and work very successfully. Now these are starting to remind me of Braille or Morse code symbols or logos. I've had some feedback off my tutor Amy to look at a particular artist. As of yet I need to pay attention to this, so I'm going to incorporate a book called From the Ground, which tells stories with logos and symbols. So this could be a new line of inquiry for new research and so forth. Through here I'd gone back to using some paint. I'd started to embrace that the hair could actually be used as my canvas. These proved quite successful. They are simple mark making, and the results are quite pleasing. What I've learned with my time with Project 3 is what really works well for me are mini projects that I can bring on, set a time limit, and kind of make a sample on the feeling of that moment. Here, these are PVA samples from my contemporary practice. I made hair fabric from some hair extensions, and then what I've done here is I've made three-dimensional triangle shapes, and then what I did here is I used photographs and applied the same rules. And then I've also played with some synthetic hair and done started to work with some classic shapes, plaiting, and some textile practice crochet. These almost look jelly fish-like shapes. It's an area that I need to go further down as a line of inquiry. So I'm kind of opening up and expanding my research with hair even further. I did make quite some in-depth research in contemporary practice, and as we can see, just some different mark making bits of paper that I've been producing along the way, photocopies of some hair. So again, this is kind of possibly something that I am going to maybe consider for project 4, because there are areas that I would like to investigate further.